Hi, this is Adrian from White Hat Automation, and today we're going to look at the exciting new Botchief. So what is Botchief? Well, most tasks that you operate on the web can be automated, but the problem is that you have to buy software to do the job for you, or you have to locate and commission a developer to write the software for you. Now with Botchief, you can actually write your own automation bots using our simple step-by-step Botchief instructions. So we're going to create a very simple Yahoo account maker, and this will give me the opportunity to show you the kind of stuff that Botchief can do for you. So I've got the Botchief window open. As you can see, it's very, very simple. In the middle is a browser, and that's the page, the web page that we'll be working on. On the left-hand side is where the instructions will go here. On the right-hand side are any settings that are associated with those instructions. So the first thing we need to do is start a new project. So we just click here on New and Start a New Project. Let's call this Botchief Tutorial. That's created. Just click OK to that. There we are, and now we can start adding some instructions. Well, it's going to be a Yahoo account maker, so we need to go to find the Yahoo page first. So let's go to yahoo.com. There's yahoo.com. And we're going to go to we want to sign up. So I'm just trying to find the correct page to start Botchief on so it can go straight to it. So we'll click on the mail link there. That's it. So we'll go to create new account, and I think that'll be the page that we want to start on. That's the page that we want the new bot to work on each time. There is the page, the sign up page. So this here is the address, the URL that we want Botchief to start on. So we just click this globe icon here and click on it, and you can see the first thing it does is it lists the instruction load URL, and that if we click on it, now we've got the settings on the right hand side for load URL. You see how this works? And it says here that is the URL that we're on at the moment. That is the sign up page for Yahoo. So if I click that, then if I click the save button, then that will be the settings for this particular bot when it sees this load URL. Now when you've done an instruction, you can test it. So if I just take this back to any page will do, I suppose. Well, let's take it back to Google, and then we'll be able to test the first instruction that we put in. So we've gone to Google there, and now you can right click any element that you've added and do a quick test run. So if I right click that test run, right click the load URL, click test run, and now we can see if it's going to take us to that Yahoo sign up page. So click test run and see what it does. There it goes. It's gone to the Yahoo sign up page, and that means that the first part of the Yahoo account creator is successful. So we can move on to the second part. So we're on the Yahoo sign up page, and the first thing we want to do is enter the first name value in that box where the cursor is flashing. First thing we've got to do is get hold of the control. So click on the right click on where it says the project's name, Botchief Tutorial. We're going to add an action, and that action is to set the value, because we want to set the value of that box. First, we've got to get hold of the control. We've got to tell Botchief to get hold of the control. So we select the control, right? Move over to the control we want, which is this box here. Now this is the important part. There's a problem with modern day web pages. They use JavaScript, HTML, and all sorts, and it's the reason that some bots aren't so good is because they sometimes fail to select the correct control, because it's all a bit complicated these days. So we have to make sure that Botchief is going to get exactly the correct control, because this is what's going to make your bot stable and working very well all the time. So having selected that control there, we just need to double check with Botchief that is the correct control. So this is the procedure. After clicking on a control and seeing that blue box around it, click this box here, find HTML item. So you're telling Botchief to find that. Now if the box goes green like that, that's a pretty good sign that it's found the right one. And you can see here it says found one item. It's got the right box because there's only one of them. Now later on we may find a box where you may have to tell it more information, but for now that is definitely the right box. It's found one item and it's put a green border around it, so that's definitely the box that we want. So now we're going to tell it what to put in that box. Now normally you might want to go into having a list of first names and tell Botchief to choose a random name, select a random name from a list, and we'll go into that later, but for now let's just keep it simple so we can get the tutorial to the end and up and running. So we're just going to tell it to put John in there. Okay, so it's just going to write John in there when it finds it. And then now, this is after you've entered every instruction, you need to click the save button. Okay, so now we've told it that to load the URL, to find that box that says first name, and to enter a value in it, and that value is John. Now, we can test that by right-clicking the set value and doing a quick test run. Hit test run, and there you go, it's found the control, written John in it, and you may have seen up here we just have a little notification, success, which means it's worked. So I can get rid of that. Now there's something else you can do. When you're building a bot up, you can play the whole bot and see if it does the whole thing. So you can click on the project title here, Botchief Tutorial, and just run it here. And then a browser box opens and it actually runs your bot for you. So let's do that now and just see if what we've got so far is actually up and running and will work. So there it is, it's loading the page. It's waiting for the page to load fully, types in John, and that's it. I hope you saw that. It types in the word John and it's finished. So everything's working well so far. So now we need to do the same operation to put in the last name. So we'll right click, add an action, which is to set value. And in set value, we're going to select control, which is this one here. Again, we have to remember when you click on a box, automatically go to find HTML item. Let's see if it finds it. Now the box has gone green and it's found one item, so there's definitely going to be no problems with this box. We're happy with that. See how it's just a verification. You've got to verify each time that is definitely the right box. Otherwise you're going to potentially run into problems later on if you don't do this when you try and run the bot. So let's put a bog standard name in there, Smith. So it's going to find that box and write Smith and enter. Write Smith in the box. So we click save there. Always save after each instruction is entered if you want it, if you're happy with what it's supposed to be doing. Now the next thing we need to do is generate a unique Yahoo username. If it's not unique, then Yahoo won't let you create an account, and it won't be created when the bot hits the create button at the end of the process. So first of all, what we need to do is create a variable. So we had variable operate here. That's the next step. The first thing we've got to do is create a variable. That's something that can be used and which changes its value whenever it's used. So we'll click variable management. We're going to add a new variable and we'll call it Yahoo ID. So we'll click this button here, store variables, and click OK. Right, so that's the variable created, and we can now choose it from this drop down box. So we're saying use this variable, the Yahoo ID variable. Now we've got to tell it what's inside this Yahoo ID variable, and we're going to use a random number. Now I've already entered some random numbers in here. You just put in whatever you like, really, separated by commas, and you're going to tell it how many of each one that you want. So we're saying get 5 uppercase letters, then get 5 numbers, then get 5 lowercase letters. And you can test this by clicking this button here, and it will create a random number according to your instructions down below there. So we can click save on that, and that's generated a random number into the variable Yahoo ID. So we've got Yahoo ID as a variable sat there with a random number in it at this stage. Okay, so now we need to set the value of that box like we did last time. Yeah, click on that, and we're going to select the control just like we did with the first two. So click in the username box, click find HTML, and it's found one item and it's put the green line around it. So that's correct, that's the box we want. But now in here, instead of typing a text in and telling it what to type in, we're going to tell it to use the variable we just created, Yahoo ID. So that's the one that's now got a random number in it that we just created. So now we can just click save for that, and that's that instruction saved. And we can give it a little bit of a test now. So we could test run this variable process. Now when we do it, we're not going to see much, because remember, all it's doing is generating a random number and inserting it into the variable. So if I just click test run, we'll get this little success here. So it looks as though it's worked okay. Now we're going to set the value. So this actually inserts that variable into this box here for a Yahoo user ID name. So let's test run it. And that seems to have worked just fine, and we've got success written here again. So now we want to generate a random number for a password and then put that into a variable, and we'll do that in exactly the same way that we did with the Yahoo ID. So I want to add an action, and that's variable process, variable operate, highlight it, go into variable management, and now we're going to add another variable. Give it a name, we'll call this password, and that's clicked on store variables. So click OK to that, and we can cancel that off. So now when we choose the variable, we can choose the variable that's called password, and the processing way of this is just the same as the last one, random number, and I'll stick with those that I've already got. Give it a quick test. You can see it's working well there, so that'll do for a password as well, and I can save that. So that's saved. Okay, so now we need to get that password into the password box here, and with the password, I happen to know with Yahoo that you actually need to type it in, so we need to emulate a human being typing it in, and that's easy to do with Botchief. So we'll do something reasonably familiar first. We'll add this control operate. So all we're trying to do is just get hold of the control, focus on it, ready to type it in. So I've clicked on it, and now we're going to select the control that we want to operate. I'll click on this one here, and remember, after you've clicked on a control, you need to click this button here to verify it's the right one. Right, it's only found one item, so that's got to be the correct one. So it's found that control. What do we want it to do with it? We just want it to focus on it, so that when we start typing, it's in the right place. Okay, so we're focused on that. Now we can save it. Now the next thing we want to do is to type in the variable, the random variable that we created here in variable process. So the next one is for emulation, keystrokes emulation. So we've already told it to focus on here, so if it's running, it's already focused on here. So all we need to do is type in use variable, and there's our password variable. Save that. So here it creates the random variable for our password. Here it just focuses on this box here, ready to type it in, and here it types in the variable like a human being would. So let's just run those three then and see what happens. Now remember, on this one we're not really going to see much because all it's doing is creating a random number and entering it into the variable, but we'll run it anyway. Test run, and here we can see we've got success, so at least we know it's worked. Now this one, all this one is going to do is focus on the password box so that when we start typing it'll be in the correct place. Test run, success. So it's focused in on this now, and now we can run the keystrokes emulation, which is going to actually type in the random password we created. Test run. There it goes, typing it in, and of course it's obfuscated because it's a password, and we've got success again here. Now the next item is the mobile number. I'm just going to hard code a number in there, so it'll just type it in, and so we don't really need to choose the country code, but I'm going to just show you the way Botchief works, and I'm just going to select the country code as part of this bot, just to show you what happens when so we've got another box here. So if we add an action, let's say control operate, and now we click on it and we say select control, and here's control. Now remember, after clicking control we click find HTML item. Now then, it's found 433 items, so there's a lot of them. But we have to make sure it chooses this one. If you were going to operate the drop down box and choose a country code, you've got to make sure it finds this one, and it's not going to when it's got 443 to choose from. So we use these advanced seek conditions here that would be more specific to the control that we want. So what you've got to do is look at this now and see what you think is going to be specific to this code here. Well, this control. The first one looks to be the obvious one, doesn't it? Because it's got country codes menu 1 written next to it. So I think that would be the one to go for. So let's with that selected, let's try and find it again and see what it comes up with. And it's come up with 1, so that is the one we want. But we had to use this advanced seek condition down here to find the code. So we're happy that's the right box because it's drawn the green line around it. All you would do then is add all the conditions to the top part here and then save it. So even though there's 430 odd to choose from when you click in here, we're making Botchief find the exact box, the exact control, by searching for specific conditions. Now, having said that, as I said earlier, I'm not going to use this drop down box. I'm just going to type a number in, or tell Botchief to type a number in. So I'll remove that, and we will now set a value again. So there we're going to set the value. So the first thing we need to do is get the control. There it is, that's the control. Remember, it's selected, so let's make it find the HTML item, and it's found 1, and it's put the green box around it, so we're happy with that. And we'll just tell it to put any old number in. Oh, yes, and there we are, and we can save that. So let's check that that works. If we right click that value and click test run, and there it is, the phone number's entered in. So now we need to enter the birth date details. And this type of box can be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to do the day box, show you how to do that, and then I'll do the month and the year off camera so that it doesn't take up too much of your time. So we're going to go through the familiar process of adding set value. On the set value, the first thing we're going to do is to select the control, and this is the first control we want. Now you know what to do now. We found the HTML item and it's found 1, so that's good. So we'll have that as the green box around the day. That's the one that we want. Now we need to choose a day at random. So we need to create a variable. So we're going to click this radio button to tell it that the input for this particular box is a variable. Go into variable management. We've got to create the variable first. So it's add, give it a name, and we'll call that day, store variables, and this time we want a table. You have to fill in the number of columns. There's only going to be one column because it's going to be a list of numbers. And now we've got to give that column a name, which I'll call day 1. And by highlighting that word there, column 1, I can click this button and it assumes the name that I've just given it. So it's now called day 1. So I can click OK to that. So I've just created a variable and there it is, day there. So now we can select the variable. So that's the variable that it's going to use when it makes this input. Where are we getting the values from? From here, get list box values. So when I click that, it's going to show me what's in this drop down box here. There we are. This is what's shown on the screen. This column here is what the actual values are. So these are the ones we want. So I can copy that, and now I can put it into the variable. Don't worry if you didn't get this first time. You can go back and watch the film again. So we're going to set the variable for day. This column is selected and it says here paste to selected column. We've already selected the numbers that were in the list box from 1 to 31. So there we've pasted it in and we can click OK to that. Okay, now the next two boxes here, we've got to choose the column name. Remember, that's the column that we named in the variable, and the type of index is random, so it's going to choose any row at random. Save that. That's saved. Now, because of the sneaky way that this Yahoo sign up page has been written, if I run this now, we should be able to run this test run and get a random number put into the day box, and we can. But because of the way this has been written, you're not actually going to see it. So I will run it, just because if something goes wrong, I'll get a message saying it's gone wrong. So I'll run it now, and it's worked fine. So I have to be satisfied that that has worked okay. When we actually run the bot and create an account in full, hopefully we'll see these values going in. But for the moment, that's as good as the Yahoo page is going to show you. So now I'll go ahead and do the month and the year in exactly the same way, and I'll pause the tutorial while I'm doing it because they're done exactly the same way. Okay, so you can see I've added a couple of more set values, and that's for the month and the year. So now we'll move on and instruct Botchief to do the next process in creating a Yahoo account, which is to select either male or female. I'm going to choose male for this one. So we need to add an action, which is control operate, and we tell it to select a control, as the first part, and this little one here, that one there, that's the control we want, because that's the radio button that Botchief is going to use to click. So we click find HTML item as usual. Now it's found one and it's put the green box around it, so that's what we want. And the event to do is click, which we've got, so we'll click save. So it's going to find that radio button and click, and we can test that. Let's just click off it. Let's click over there and run it. Run test run, and you can see it's clicked on the male radio button. That's exactly what we want. Now we want to do a similar thing with the create account button. So the add action is to control operate again. Select the control, which is this one here. Click the find HTML item. Found one again and put the green line around it. So that's the one we want. And it's already set on click, so that's the one we want to have, the operation that we want to have Botchief perform when it finds this button. So I'll click save, and that's it, saved. So now we need to run the whole the whole process and see if what we've written is actually going to work. Now sometimes it doesn't work exactly as you planned it to, but there's got to be a point where you actually run it to see whether it's going to do it or not. So let's run what we've just written and see what happens. So you highlight the name of the project and click on run. And the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to get the browser opening, and it's going to be looking for the sign up page. So let's see what happens. Signed. Okay, so you may not have seen what happened there. I guess if you rewind backwards, you'll see that what happened was that we got a captcha. So I think everything worked fine, because it wouldn't have asked for the captcha if there was a problem with the way that the form had been filled in. It's asking for a captcha. We all know what that is. And of course Botchief has a process for dealing with captchas, which we'll have a look at now. Now I need to generate a captcha image so that we can insert the control that deals with captcha images. So I'm just going to pause the tutorial until I've generated one, and then we'll pick it up. Well, just my luck, I'm trying to get a captcha and I've successfully created an account. However, we do need this page for when an account is successfully created, so we can use this now. So what we're going to do is scrape the contents of that page and put it into a variable so that we can do a comparison, so that we can tell Botchief to look at the page and decide what page has been loaded, and therefore decide what action to take. So the first thing we do is add an action, which is wait. Now this is a loop, and it's going to wait until whatever's inside this loop has finished. So the first thing it's got to do is actually wait, and we're going to tell it to wait a few seconds just for the page to load. So 3 seconds, so we can save that. And now we're going to add a scraper, and the scraper is going to take the contents of this page so that we can put it into a variable. So the scrape type we want is HTML. We want it to look at the HTML, and we want it to say to a variable. Now we've got to create a new variable for it to put the content into. So add one, and we'll call it after submit. So we know this is the page that appears after submitting. Store variables. Everything else stays as it is, just click OK. So now we're going to scrape the page HTML and save it into the variable after submit, and save it. So far so good. So now we're going to add an if statement. This is to say, if the page that's loaded is this one, then do something. In this case, it'll be end. So we're going to add an action. Here it is, if. If what? So if we click on if, we can see we've got the settings here. And what we're saying is, if the after submit page contains text like this, your account has been successfully created. Let's make it not case sensitive, just in case Yahoo decides to do a little update there. So if that this page is here, let's save that. That's saved. Then that would be true. So if it's true, then we need to do something, which is add an action, which is end. So if the page has got that in, we need to end. Now we also need to tell it what to do for the end itself. There's a bad end, but this page isn't bad in any way. That's exactly what we want. So we want it to be a good end, and in the case it finishes in a good way, we want to return the variable, the Yahoo ID and the password. That's what we want, isn't it? The name of the Yahoo account and the password. Save that. So if there's no captcha, this bot will work now. Or it should do. If we set it running, it should create an account, and we should get the details of the Yahoo ID and the password as a result of it. But we're going to have a look at the captcha now and see. I will now pause the tutorial and try and create a captcha so that we can deal with that too. Okay, so I've finally got it to show a captcha, and the first thing I want to do is just add a little to the main menu, not inside this wait loop but outside of it. I want to add a little instruction for it to sleep, so that when it comes out of the loop, the first thing it'll do is sleep, to give it a chance to load the page up. So there we are. Just giving it, I'll make it 3 seconds. That's 3000 milliseconds. So we'll just save that. There we go. And now we're going to add another if. This is an if for if it's this page. So there's a second if. The first if deals with the page and asks if it's the account successful page. Now this one we're going to ask it if it's the account verification page, the captcha page. So now we've already asked it to scrape the contents of the page into this variable after submit. That it does that here where it says scraper. And now we're going to ask it if it contains the text verification. So if the HTML of the page contains the text, let's make it not case sensitive. If it contains this verification, save that. Then, if it's true, then we're going to tell it to go to number 59, which is this sleep that we've put in here. That will break it out of the loop. So first we scrape the HTML of the page, whatever that page is, and then we say to the bot, if it's the account successful page, then go to the end and give us the Yahoo ID and password. And then if it's not that, we'll say, well, if it's the captcha page, then go to number 59. See, this is number 59 here, and it's going to sleep, wait for the page to open, and then it's going to be the captcha page, the how to deal with a captcha. So now we need to add the captcha function. So it's add action captcha, and if we click on captcha, the settings for it are here. So the first one is select image. So we click on select control, and it's very similar to what we've done before. We've got to find the control with the image. So click on there, And you know what comes next? Find the item. Oh, and it's found 2 items. Now, these are the 2 items. We should be able to see which ones it's looking at. It's looking at somewhere else there. But on 0, it's looking at this one here. So that's the one we want. So we'll save that. That's the image part of the capture saved. Now we'll click on this tab here to select the input. That's where you input the code. Select the control. That's this one. Find the item, and it's found 1. So we can save that one too. Now the final thing to do in the normal way is to add one more action, which is to hit that submit code. So we choose control operate, and control operate is select control, and here it is. Find the item. There we go, it's found 1 item, and we wanted to click it, so we hit save, and there it is saved. Now there's one final thing I need to do. When that submit code is hit by the bot, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either it's going to ask for another verification code, because that's what Yahoo is like sometimes, as you probably know, or it's going to be successful and get the account created page. So we need to tell it to go and look for those again. Well, we've already got all that here after number 56 in this wait loop. So all I need to do now is add a go to and tell it to go to back here to this wait. There we are, that's saved, and it'll keep going. So if we keep getting captures, every time it's entered, it'll go back to there. Whatever page is, it'll go back to there, scrape the page until finally we get an account successful page. Let's see if that happens. Okay, so let's run it and see. Highlight the project title and click run, and let's see what happens. So it loads the browser up, goes to the page, fills in first and last name and the ID, and now it's typing in the password and the mobile number. Now when that comes up, just wait, because there's a special box. That's the capture function. So we type in the capture. So far so good. Click OK to that, and now the bot will send it through to Yahoo. Oh, and it's been successfully created, and that's it. It's worked. The bot's worked. We've got ourselves our Yahoo account. So there we have an introduction to Botchief, and you get an idea of the kind of things it can do. You really are in a position where you can create bots to do anything you want on the internet when you're browsing web pages. And if you're not a programmer, you'll be seeing how powerful this is. It can really help you with your internet marketing. If you've got a little bit stuck and you didn't follow the tutorial so well, it's great, because you can just go back to the beginning and watch it again, and you'll soon learn. I'm not a programmer. I've never programmed anything in my life, but I soon learned how to use Botchief, and I think it's excellent. And I hope you do too. Thanks very much for watching, and look out for the next video tutorial where we'll look into some more advanced features of Botchief. Thank you very much.